All right. Well, in the interest of time, we'll go ahead and jump right in. So again, greetings all. My name is John Launis. I'm Acting Vice President of Regional Economic Development here at GLI. And we are very thrilled to have you all join today's collective conversation as we celebrate Manufacturing Month. So as we get started today, I just want to quickly note that all participants have been muted during today's conversation. If you would like to submit questions for the Q&A portion, please use the chat feature below. We will have a significant time at the end for some Q&A, so we really encourage you to submit questions. GLI's mission is to grow the regional economy, and a key strategy in our effort is operating and utilizing strong industry networks, such as the Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics Network. Ongoing collaboration with our region's industries and community partners is imperative to attracting new investment and ensuring existing businesses can grow and thrive in the region. As many of you are already aware, Greater Louisville offers the manufacturing and logistics sector a variety of advantages, and it's an economic driver for our region. With over 1,300 companies, manufacturing and logistics represents 18% of employment within our regional economy. It's over 120,000 jobs. The Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics Network continues to support sustainable industry growth through knowledge sharing and collaboration, networking and advocacy. And true to our mission, we are excited to gather here today to hear directly from our industry and community partners about our region's assets and advantages that help drive industry success. Today's collective conversation sponsor is the Morales Group, who was unfortunately unable to be with us today, but I would like to take a moment to thank and acknowledge them as our event sponsor. In the business to create better futures, the Morales Group is a mission-focused staffing and talent sourcing agency, having successfully placed more than 175,000 teammates across multiple locations in Indiana and Kentucky, as well as across the Midwest, Texas, and North Carolina. The Morales Group understands that their business is people and their strategy should be transformation, not transaction. Connect with the Morales Group today so they can help you build a better future for you, your company, and your family. We again thank the Morales Group for sponsoring today's event and are honored to have them as a partner with AML and GLI. We are also honored to have with us today Derek Bland, Vice President of New Business Development with HJI Supply Chain Solutions, and also the Chair of GLI's Advanced Manufacturing and Logistics Network. Derek, thank you always for your efforts, past, present, and future, to support the manufacturing and logistics industries. We appreciate your willingness to moderate today's panel discussion as we explore Greater Louisville's manufacturing assets and advantages. The floor is yours.
Thank you, John, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. As chair of the AML, I want to sincerely thank each of you for joining us today as we celebrate Manufacturing Month here in Greater Louisville. The AML network, we work to unite our diverse members to support sustainable growth in manufacturing and logistics industries as we enjoy cross-industry membership of small to large companies throughout the Greater Louisville region. So this afternoon, we look to gain insights on industry success in our region and the unique competitive advantages that our market offers. It has unique logistics infrastructures, systems that support students and ensure strong talent pipelines, internationally recognized R1 research university access to accelerate innovation, and much, much more. We're honored today to have several of our own key industry and community partners to join us to explore our region's manufacturing assets and advantages. With us today, we have Greg Newbern. Greg is Senior Vice President of Supply Chain Integration at the Brown-Forman Corporation. We have David Osborne, who is the Senior Manager at Genentech. We also have Kevin Sherlucky, the Customer Relations Manager for UPS Airlines. Also joining us is Kevin Gardner, the Executive Vice President for Research and Innovation, and also Professor of Civil and Environmental Engineering at the University of Louisville. And last but not least, we have Kristen Wingfield, who is the coordinator for school business partnerships with the Academies of Louisville at JCPS. I'm going to ask each of our panelists to more formally introduce themselves and accompany that with a question to kick us off. As a reminder to everyone that's on the call, we are utilizing our chat feature. So as we're discussing and hearing from our guest panelists, should you have any questions that you would like to address directly to our panelists, please input that information. And when we get to the Q&A portion of our presentation today, we will be sure to address your questions. Greg, let's get started with you. We all know and love Brown-Forman. I, for one, am at the start of that pack. But many of us online may not know about the company's history, the fact that you are a family-owned business and your growth from a startup to the global leader that you are today. Could you share a little bit about Brown-Forman's humble beginnings and how our region specifically has supported your growth in the last 150 years?
Yeah, thanks, Derek. And you did a great job starting and kicking us off with that intro to who we are. I think Brown-Forman has been in existence for 150 years, and it's been right here in Louisville for that entire time. Many people don't know that our location is really a combination of headquarters, global corporate headquarters, manufacturing site, distribution site that are all combined under one campus location. And we're located now in the California neighborhood in the area of 18th and Broadway, where it's been in that location for over 100 years. So there is a close connection with community with the company. As you mentioned, it's family owned. The Brown family has been rooted and lived in Louisville, and they continue to serve in the community, not only leading Brown-Forman as a corporation, but many philanthropic issues or areas that you see in terms of investment in the community, between the arts, between just being a good corporate citizen. So the beginnings are, George Garvin Brown started the company with one product called Old Forester, which if you know the campus, you see the bottle sitting on top of the roof of the Old Forester bottle. That is the humble beginnings of Brown-Forman. And it was known as the first bottled bourbon. So many people are not aware of the fact that he was the first person to put bourbon in a bottle and then sell it medicinally during Prohibition because of the laws at the time that it could be sold as medicinal. So that is the humble beginnings of the company. We are now a company that has sort of expanded globally. We are now selling in 170 different countries. We have offices in over 10 different countries around the world. We have a organization that is about 4,800 people globally, with about 600 plus or more here in the city of Louisville at our downtown location. As I said, it started very simply and very small. Since that time, we have focused on premium spirits and expanding globally where possible to include that into the portfolio. So it's been quite a journey for the company, but again, its roots always centered here in Louisville and in the downtown area that is located today. And that's really sort of the story of the company per se.
Thank you, Greg. David Osborne with Genentech. You all are a very fascinating global company that's driving high impact biotechnology innovation. I know our audience is very interested, particularly in this time of COVID, to learn more about your operations in Greater Louisville and why it's critical to Genentech's overall strategy and business model. Would you give us an introduction of Genentech? You're muted, David.
Sorry, I keep switching between these different type of presentation tools. Thank you for that. So Genentech was founded as a pioneering research-oriented pharmaceutical biotechnology company in South San Francisco in 1976. We're the company that started the biotech industry. For those familiar with the Jurassic Park novel, we were actually mentioned in that book. So our goal to meet unmet medical needs, we were part of the Human Genome Project to map the entire human genome. That has been completed. We have a complete map. What we're doing now, along with many other companies, is attempting to figure out what all these genes do. What is their purpose and how do they interact with one another? It's really a map that we're learning how to read. You set out with the intent of discovering a cure for something in particular. And quite often what you find through history is along that journey, you stumble across other interesting discoveries. And we certainly have experienced that ourselves. The benefits of biotech pharmaceuticals is that they can overcome some of the limitations of traditional chemical-based pharmaceuticals. Biotech delivers really improved potency, specificity, and I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice here, and has reduced side effects. What we're really talking about is using what naturally exists within the body, understanding how it works and using that to improve the science. So let me give you an example of that. So today, the most common treatment for cancer, unfortunately, is chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is introducing poisons, toxins into the body, flooding the body with those toxins, hoping that you really kill the tumor before you significantly impact the patient. Half of everyone knows someone that has cancer themselves, has a family member with cancer, et cetera. So we all understand what the impact of chemotherapy is on patients. So using one of our products as an example of biotech, we'll use Avastin. As we went down this journey with the Human Genome Project and doing the research, we discovered in certain tumors, in certain circumstances for certain people, we found the signaling pathway from tumors to blood vessel growth. So it would signal that it needed blood vessel growth brought to the tumor so the tumor could continue its growth. We are able to develop an inhibitor that physically docks at the signaling pathway for the tumor, and therefore inhibits the ability for blood vessels to connect to the tumor. So essentially, you begin to starve that tumor. In addition, while we were delivering direct to the tumor, we decided to package micropotent doses of chemotherapy. So not only are we inhibiting the pathway in the blood vessel growth, but we're delivering chemotherapy directly to the tumor. Now, again, humans are very, very unique. Every individual is unique as your fingerprint is, or your palm print. The rest of you is just as unique. So there is no one standard answer for every person. But in many cases, we're finding that the inhibitors have some degree of success in impeding the growth of the tumor, delivered with the chemotherapy, instead of really what I would refer to as carpet bombing the human body. We're delivering really more precise munitions on the target. We're going from World War II, 10% of all bombs hit the target, so you got to drop a lot of bombs, to today where you're putting a laser designator on the front, tail fin assembly to guide it, and then you ask the question, which window do you want me to fly this bomb through? that is really where biotech is taking us. Very much more personalized, targeted treatment as opposed to more basic and invasive treatments.
Thank you, David. That's very interesting and very exciting. So I'm sure that we'll be looking forward to learning more about the direction that you all are taking us in the future. Kevin Sherlucky, UPS is no doubt a key partner to companies throughout the world as they're asking what has Brown done for you lately? The difference that we have is that UPS Worldport is in our own backyard. So can you talk a little bit about the advantage that UPS offers to your partners, specifically cross-sector manufacturing partners that are located here in the region? And also with that, how are companies leveraging this partnership to offer a competitive advantage?
Absolutely. Thanks, Derek. Yeah, when you talk about Worldport, you talk about a fully automated international all points air hub, meaning we can launch a package or letter from here at Worldport to anywhere in our global network, which includes over 220 countries and territories. And it's the largest fully automated sorting facility of its kind. It's 5.2 million square feet, 416,000 packages and documents per hour, about 20,000, 21,000 employees total here at the home of the UPS airline headquarters. And of course, our corporate headquarters is in Atlanta. So for local customers, about 350, we're probably closer to 400 now. Customers have moved here and their distribution centers here to be close to Worldport to tap that. And one of the things that customers tell us is the late pickups. So you're still filling orders from the West Coast and it's end of business day here on the East Coast. Well, they can stay open, fill those orders later, and still get that air volume into our network and around the world. And we've delivered 80% of the world's population within 48 hours or less. So an on-call air package can be picked up here locally as late as midnight or even maybe 12:30 and brought over to Worldport and put on the 110 aircraft that depart here each night and be delivered as early as 8:30 the next morning. And we're fortunate to have one of only 5 airlines to have our own UPS meteorology department on staff. And geographically, we're in a good spot, typically 12 inches of snowfall. And that number's been skewed a little bit just because of the heavy snowfall we've had on a couple of years that have trended that upward. So, and if you're wanting to save a little money on that air package and keep it on the ground, we spent $300 million recently on an expansion of our ground network and infrastructure in our Louisville Centennial Hub, basically tripling the size of that facility. So e-commerce is driving a lot of that growth. And I mentioned UPS meteorology earlier and the fact that we have them on staff, which helps our decision makers. And these guys don't just talk about the weather, they actually do something about it. So when I told them we were having a Chamber of Commerce event, I probably should have mentioned that it was virtual because they dialed up 80 degrees and sunny here that unless somebody wants to point their laptop outside. So it's a Chamber of Commerce kind of day. I wish all of you over here to enjoy it. So those are the main things. I think I wouldn't want to leave out the public-private partnership we have, the city and state, on a program called Metropolitan College. And we'll probably touch on that throughout, whether we're talking with the University of Louisville or I think I saw Jesse's on here. So we're getting an educated workforce out to those same clients, partners, customers. Once they come here, they can work part-time and get 100% of their tuition paid, among many other programs that we offer.
Kevin, you said it fast. I'm gonna ask you to say it one more time for our listening audience. Repeat again for them the logistics that UPS Worldport has to the U.S. population.
Oh, the stats on the U.S. Yeah, we can reach 80% of the world's population in 48 hours or less, and that's 220 countries that we deliver to. We have a direct flight that started 2 years ago, direct into Dubai from here, We're direct into Europe each night, Mexico, and so forth.
Very, very wonderful advantage that you give to our community. We're very appreciative of that. We're very glad to also have our academic partners join us today. Kevin Gardner, the University of Louisville seems really laser focused on developing and nurturing private industry partnerships to drive innovation and research activity in alignment with our region's primary industries. Can you share a little more about the university's expertise and positioning to partner with our area manufacturers?
Thanks, Derek. Yep, I'd be happy to do that. I appreciate you having me on this meeting today. So if you look around the United States in the places that have robust technology-based, knowledge-based, and resilient economies, whether it's Austin, Texas, or Laramie, Wyoming, there's a major research university that's part of that ecosystem. It's not everything, but it's part of it. And so having an R1 institution embedded in the region is really important for those types of industries for a lot of reasons, both from the development of we graduate 5,000 talented students a year for that are ready for employment. We have co-op programs and internship programs, but there's also the research and new business starts and new ventures and so forth. So, while it's true that these places see those types of relationships as really critical, it doesn't just happen. And since I've come here, you all know I haven't been here that long. I can't say y'all, and I can't even say Louisville correctly. So I'm doing my best. But since I've been here, we've really have been focused on making sure we're aligned with industry, making sure industry knows that we're working to be aligned. And there's a lot of examples of that. But let me just share that internally, I formed a business liaison council that meets regularly, that crosses all the different parts of the universities that are important for business and industry. And that's our career services programs, it's our research programs, and everything in between. We have an ad out right now. We're hiring a new director of industry partnerships. So this will be a primary point of contact for people in business to say, how do I get inside the university? And I just got a letter today from a company who asked the same question. We really want to have a relationship. What do we do? How do we get started? It's a big, complex organization. So we're trying to make that front door for people. There's other kind of inside making the sausage types of things that people might not care that much about, but it's really important that we are positioned in a way that we can rapidly put contracts into place with businesses so that we can operate at the speed of business. We have, so that's in development. We have these more easy, accessible IP terms that make that type of contracting much more simplified and streamlined. And then, we have a lot of industry advisory groups, and maybe not everybody knows this, but in our degree programs in engineering rely on industrial advisory groups. Derek knows that our Logistics and Distribution Institute has an external advisory board made up of industry experts because he's been on it for quite a while. So we do have a lot of advisory groups from business and industry to make sure that the training that we're doing is putting out talent that you need and making sure that we are aligned. And our university's mission is to serve the region. I'll just give you one quick example in the advanced manufacturing and logistics space of an example of a type of facilities that we have. We have a facility called the Micro Nano Technology Center. Think of that as really small and teeny tiny stuff, micro nano technology. It's a $30 million clean room and $2 million worth of microscopes, imaging types of things, and for characterization of materials and so forth. And that's federal money that comes here to Louisville and puts really world-class facilities in the community for their use. This is one part of our university that's very much outward facing, does a lot of work with business and industry. It's essentially a nanotechnology makerspace. And our clients include everybody from NASA. We have a microfluidic device on the International Space Station, to a startup out of Notre Dame called Indiana Integrated Circuits. Our facility is far superior to Notre Dame's. We have better rates and we have much better service. And so they come here to use our facility instead of Notre Dame's facility. We serve a lot of defense related and healthcare device manufacturing types of companies through that micro nanotechnology center. Just one example. And if we have time later, I'll mention some other ones. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Kevin. And before I introduce our next industry partner, just a reminder to everyone that the Q&A chat box is open. So if you do have any questions that you would like our panelists to address, please utilize that. And as we listen to Kristen introduce herself immediately following, we will open up the floor to our Q&A. Kristen Wingfield, thank you so much for joining us. And, you know, we know that ensuring a strong workforce pipeline for both today and tomorrow is of critical importance. And JCPS, along with our partners, have been building out the Academies of Louisville model to what it is today. Could you share a little history, the current status of the model, and how it's being leveraged by our area manufacturers?
Sure. I'm glad to be here today. I'm Kristen Wingfield. I'm the coordinator of school business partnerships for Jefferson County Public Schools. The majority of my work focuses in on our high school, connecting the career pathways that are offered at our high schools with local employers to benefit both our students and the employers in terms of their lines. I see Jesse Shook and Tanel are on here, and also that my internet connection is unstable. So move forward, but let me know if I start having any issues. So at CPS, as Derek, I've been working diligently to expand career pathway options for our students. We are doing this both through addition of career and technical education programs, as well as an expansion of the Academies of Louisville model, which truly provides a wraparound support model that students are engaged in their learning throughout their 4 years of high school. Just to share a little bit about some numbers about how we are doing on encouraging students to enroll in career pathways. Of our 27,000 students in JCPS high schools, about 60% of them are in a career pathway of some sort. And we offer a variety of career pathways, striving to align with the work in the industry clusters in Louisville. 16 of our 21 high schools offer a manufacturing, skilled trades, or engineering related pathway. We do know that advanced manufacturing is heavy in Louisville, and we want to be the pipeline that feeds into our manufacturers. There are 24 different pathways that are offered in the manufacturing, engineering, and skilled trades pathways, and these range from leading to the career path, certified production technician certification, to specific skilled trades, to engineering as well, and then also connecting into our business pathways to support some of the logistics organizations in our community. We have about 3,200 students that are enrolled in our manufacturing pathways, about 450 that are in the pathway that leads to that certified production technician certification. I shared about 160 in a mechanical engineering. We have about 200 in machine tool pathway and about 350 in welding. Across all of our industries, we've seen a 42% increase in our students that are earning an industry recognized credential and are ready to transition out into your companies and into the employers in our community. And so our work really focuses on setting that strong foundation of career skills, as well as those essential skills that we all know are important to the community, important to success in the workplace, and ensuring students are ready to transition out. We have incredible partnerships with a lot of our employer community. UPS, obviously the Metropolitan College and School to Work, and some of the great opportunities where students can start with UPS in high school are there. Also, UPS has heavily invested in Valley High School and their industrial maintenance pathway, putting in an incredible conveyor belt system, and students are able to break and fix that conveyor belt and really hands-on learning, and also when we are in person, be able to go out into the UPS facilities and explore what happens there. Brown-Forman is an incredible partner with our Western High School and some opportunities happening there. So we're certainly thankful for those partners engaged with us. And we do want to have more partners creating opportunities for our students to learning is like beyond the four walls of the high school. As most of you all are probably aware, we are in virtual learning right now. So one of the biggest struggles of that is we have all of these incredible facilities and these students who are excited about hands-on learning and manufacturing, and now we don't get to use our labs. So engaging students in their learning has certainly been a challenge for us, and our teachers are working through that and trying to keep students engaged and moving forward. And we're ready to get back into the classroom as soon as it is safe for us. So I'll just wrap up in saying that, again, JCPS wants to be here as the foundation. We are reliant on the greater Louisville community employers to support us, and we need to hear from you all to ensure that we are pipelining and leading students into careers that are needed in our region.
Thank you. We are really excited about all of the work that JCPS is doing with the Academies of Louisville model. And we're looking forward to what the future holds as you help prepare and build our pipeline for tomorrow. We're going to go ahead and move into the Q&A portion of our discussion today. This first question is posed to our industry partners with regards to the environmental changes that have been brought on by the pandemic. How has the region or our area partners to mitigate barriers and or position your operation for new opportunities? Greg, I don't know if you or Dave may want to take that one on.
Yeah, certainly. So from a logistics perspective, with the pandemic, we actually been prepared for a pandemic for well over a decade. One of Roche's products that we distribute in the US is Tamiflu. Tamiflu is the treatment for influenza. Influenza is the pandemic everyone expected, but not the one we got. So we were well prepared for pandemic. What ended up happening initially was we didn't have a product in the fight. About 30 to 45 days into the pandemic in the US, it was determined that two of our products, Actemra, which is used for rheumatoid arthritis, and Activase, which is a blood clot dissolver, played a very important role for the most serious COVID patients. The rheumatoid arthritis product, what it does is it dials back on the immune response. So essentially what happens is the body detects an invasion, it releases the cytokines and the T cells, and it carpet bombs the lungs trying to put down the COVID. So with the body's response, it destroys the inner lining of the lungs. The body's response to that then is to fill the lungs with liquid to serve as temporary protection. So the product dials back that immune response so you get a more balanced response to COVID. Activase dissolves the microclots that are formed by COVID. So almost overnight, we were faced with getting these important products out. And as you can imagine, 24 hours was too long to get these products into the hands of physicians and emergency rooms. We partnered with UPS, and on some occasions, due to our location here in Louisville and Worldport being literally 12 minutes down the road, they were able to hold an aircraft for us on occasion so that we could get these therapies out and literally in the hands of emergency rooms in under 8 hours. And that was anywhere within the US. So by our location here in Louisville, we are able to leverage the UPS supply chain and their reach here within the US.
So Derek, I would say on the Brown-Forman front, it's a couple of things. One, I mentioned we have our corporate headquarters, and two, we have manufacturing both located here in the city. And I think when COVID hit, really there was no playbook for what we were going to face. And I think we were hit on two fronts. So corporate side, we immediately had to go work from home. And as you can see now, I'm still doing some of that. Many of you are still working from home. And so the support of the community around broadband, right, where we're going to be able to have enough broadband strength to support this new environment that we found ourselves in on a corporate level to be able to continue to do the work we needed to do. The other side of it on the manufacturing side was people still had to show up for work every day, essential workers to continue to manufacture and distribute product out of the various locations. So with that, the challenge was, how do we prepare and make our environment as safe as possible without really, again, a playbook that defined what was the appropriate, proper things to do? And I think every company was kind of finding their own way. I know we partnered with several companies in the community to have conversations about what steps they were taking, actions they were doing for mitigation, trying to come up with some kind of sense of what are the best practices maybe that we can implement. And many of that things had to happen on the fly. So we found ourselves really collaborating across the community to really help us figure out, how do we keep our employees safe, but how do we also keep the environment operating as we needed to continue for the business to operate. And that was the balance that I think was really a big challenge on the corporate side as well as on the manufacturing side, of how to do both of those simultaneously in that environment.
Okay, thank you. Kevin Gardner, this next question is directed to you. Pfizer recently announced U of L as their Center of Excellence for Vaccine Research. Could you share a little more about why Pfizer chose Louisville?
That's a great question. I guess the simple reason is long and sustained preeminence in that field, and I think some of it, our infectious diseases group here has, I guess, the Guinness Book of World Records for most immunizations in I forget, 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever it is, something like that, with some massive, and I don't remember if that was an influenza or if that was one of the hepatitis vaccines. Anyway, they do hold that, and so it's actually a big logistics problem, and many people may not know this, but we have a regional biocontainment laboratory here, another federal investment that puts us in rare company. There's not many institutions around. There's 12 institutions around the country that have one of these that hold the most dangerous types of viruses and so forth. And so before COVID arrived in people in Louisville, they had already ordered a sample from the NIH and were already testing therapies in their laboratory. But and so we do have a number of therapies that are being developed. The Department of Defense is investing in one for a clinical trial that's a broad spectrum antiviral. So that's effective with HIV. It's been demonstrated to be really effective with COVID, and it's a prophylactic. So it's a nasal spray prophylactic for COVID. So there's a lot of activities, but I do want to say, because we're on the AML call here, that our Logistics and Distribution Institute was really essential in helping us. So for example, we stood up some early testing because our virology folks are really, really top notch. We had testing capabilities. We were helping the CDC develop the tests and so forth. So we stood that up really quickly, but we got a lot of support from our Logistics and Distribution Institute to try to figure out how to make that work, how to do this efficiently and effectively. How do we test the population of Louisville? Where should we stand up testing centers and things like that? So And then they also helped us with an N95 mask decontamination program where we had, there was a shortage of N95 masks, and there's a disinfection mechanism, way to disinfect those that we had. So they were disinfecting, I think, tens of thousands of N95 masks a day. But that's a difficult logistics problem to collect those safely, to transport them safely, to then take the disinfected ones back out to the community. So they were, they were there. The connection between the logistics and healthcare, as the earlier example, is really impressive. So, but we are proud to have that Pfizer Center here. We are ready for a vaccine to come into the community, and there's really intense planning around that vaccination program for whenever that happens, and hopefully it's soon. Get me out of my living room.
Thank you, Kevin. The next question that's being asked comes to us from Bluegrass Karting and Events, and I guess any of you all can answer this. Local entertainment businesses like ours have taken a big hit from losing corporate event business. I'm curious to learn when everyone plans on getting back into the office and participating in building events again. Does anybody want to answer that one?
I'll take a shot at it. I have done some of these actually. It was back in June, which seemed like things were getting better, and of course they're not now. But we did hold a retreat, and with appropriate masking and distancing, and I think those types of things can be done safely. So we have to figure out how to operate in this environment, and we have to figure out how to advance our businesses and industries. And as a university, we are, we're actually doing extremely well from the COVID management perspective, and we've got a critical mission to meet. If we don't meet that mission, we lose thousands of people from productive careers, from a lot of our students are not well off and don't have great places to go back to necessarily. So it's imperative that we stay open and that we continue to serve that mission.
So Derek, I'll add to that and just say, I know in our environment, it's about the employees and them feeling safe to return to the environment. I think we're taking a cue from that. I think we're going to need a vaccine. We're going to need some things to ensure people that they can be safe to go back and get to a normal style of living, because many of the families, of course, have family members that are health risk, and we're taking our cue from them. So we have learned to operate remotely. We are optionally letting people come back to work within the office environment as they can, but I don't think you will see a sort of a return to that normality in the office environment until there is a accepted vaccine option and people have a chance to get the comfort level that they can be around others and be able to then conduct themselves in a way to feel safe for them and their families. So I think if you look into 2023 and you start talking about the second half of 2023 is probably the best guesstimate, I would say, that we would hope to start to see enough people wanting to be in that environment to face that.
This next question is going to be posed to our industry partners, particularly Kevin Sherlicky. I'd love to hear your response, knowing that UPS has been doing quite a bit in this area. But the question is, where are your manufacturing talent pipelines currently, and how are they being sustained?
I touched on briefly, and certainly, Jesse can speak to this as well. Our Metropolitan College program, and it's not a place, it's a program. So a part-time employee can work for us 3.5, 4 hours at night and get 100% of their tuition paid for. And I'm still a little bitter that that program wasn't around when I was completing my bachelor's degree. But this is a great retention tool for us. And then as the years have gone on, we've started to reach out to whether it's manufacturing or it's healthcare, and then just create this talent feeder system for these folks once they've completed their 2 or 4 year degree to get out into the local community. And that partnership with those organizations allows them to connect with us and then anticipate graduation dates and do internships and so forth to be ready for when they do get their degree and graduate debt-free.
And Kevin, I'll just chime in on that since you mentioned me, because I would be remiss not to give a little advertisement for what we're building out with the Career Acceleration Network, and UPS is one of our partners in that effort. Essentially the same way that UPS has built the partnership with Norton Healthcare to offer package handlers a path to upward mobility in a healthcare industry in that nursing field. We're building out additional pipelines in all of our key sectors within the community. So we've got 12 employers, major employers, who are coming to the table to say, we know not every package handler is going to be a supply chain manager, and that's okay. We need to support them on their pathway to upward advancement. At the same time, by giving them that opportunity, we're reducing turnover and increasing employee satisfaction in those lower wage, lower skilled positions as they are embarking on that kind of intra-industry pipeline. And also another little advertisement here, next week we'll be having another meeting around workforce pipelines, immediate opportunities to tap into career centers and assets in our community that have people who are ready to go to work yesterday. And so that's a big issue in our community right now. Our labor market data is showcasing that we do have a lot of folks out of work, but not all of them are actively searching for employment at this time. So as manufacturing and logistics, as we're heading into a peak season, it's imperative that we get those roles filled quickly and that the folks who are ready to re-enter the workforce have those opportunities. So if you're available, please join us next week to hear more about some of those additional organizations.
Thank you. This next question will be more for the benefit of those that may be considering the greater Louisville area for establishing your company's presence. And the question will be posed to any of you all that may like to respond, but can you offer any experiential insights either from yourself or perhaps from some of your business colleagues that were recruited or relocated to greater Louisville? What did you or they expect before moving into the region? And then what was the actual experience?
I'll take that one off, and then I'll let Dave kind of piggyback. But at UPS, when you go into management, you basically check a box saying, raising your hand saying, I'm willing to relocate. Well, with the huge presence that we have in Louisville, needless to say, we've seen, and over my long career, I've seen a lot of people get relocated to Louisville. And had a boss for about 10 years who was with UPS in the Northeast, in New York, New Jersey area. He was in Atlanta. And he tells the story where he went to his wife and said, you know, I've got an opportunity in Louisville, Kentucky. What do you think about, you know, moving the family in there? And her response was, I don't. And they've now been here about 15 years. I've seen him turn down promotions and everything to keep his family here. And right now he's actually commuting back and forth to the Northeast for a job he took, but the family has decided to stay here. So, and that story, that example, that was someone that I know very well, but then there's many other examples where they've come here kicking and screaming, and then when an opportunity to leave presents itself, they either leave kicking and screaming or they choose to stay and not take advantage of whatever opportunities elsewhere might be available.
Yeah, and I can actually confirm that from my neighborhood that I live in. Most of them are business relocations, and they come in having taken a position from somewhere else, not familiar with Louisville or Kentucky, And by the time it's time to leave, they're not interested in leaving. I've seen that quite a bit. From a personal experience, I actually started with Genentech at our South San Francisco corporate campus in 1985. Born and raised in San Francisco, and about 2006 started looking for opportunity, or actually 2003, started looking for opportunities to get out of California. A lot of those reasons are the same ones that people are using today to leave California. I just got an early start. I put a business plan together and demonstrated why it was beneficial to Genentech to allow me to move anywhere east of the Mississippi, because I was getting on a plane every Monday, flying east of the Mississippi, and then by Friday flying back home. So I'll just share some of those reasons. There were a number of reasons, and coming from California, the reasons were very easy to find. But you know, I selected Louisville of all locations because of its central location to all the cities I needed to fly to. The weather's great. You know, is California weather awesome? It is if you like a low of 50 and a high of 80 every single day of the year. I like change of seasons, but it's not too hot, not too cold. School rankings. You know, I've seen it, I've heard it. You talk about Kentucky and it has a stigma about it. Coming from California, would you believe that California public schools were only ranked above Mississippi? That's how poor California schools are. Kentucky schools are rated much higher. Cost of living is 25% less. You don't have your neighbors within 10 feet of you on all sides. Commutes, local culture. I mean, we're literally at the crossroads between the North and the South. What I love about Louisville, it picks what it liked in regards to the culture of the North and the culture of the South and blended the two. These are the things that I selected Louisville for. About 10% of our staff are relocations from the West Coast, primarily California. Not specifically for Genentech, but came here for other companies, and they've all stayed for exactly the same reasons. You know, just seeing where your tax dollars are utilized. California has some of the highest tax rates in the country, and I have no idea what that money went for because it certainly didn't show up. You know, our biggest problem that we have here at our Louisville site is we have extremely low turnover. Not a whole lot of opportunity for people to progress. Their opportunities are within the network at other sites in other states. They won't leave. They rule it right out of hand. They will not leave Kentucky.
I think we're going to end on that note. Thank you to each of our panelists, and I appreciate your support and involvement with today's discussion. John, we'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, a big thank you to our panelists for participating in our event and such a great conversation. They're obviously, you know, their collective efforts just, you know, keep Greater Louisville competitive. They keep us thriving in the manufacturing sector, and just couldn't be more appreciative for them spending time with us today. Thank you again. Big thanks to the Morales Group for sponsoring today's collective conversation, and Derek, to you for moderating the discussion and your leadership as the chair of the AML network. We appreciate everyone's time, and we hope to see you at next week's Workforce Connections event on Thursday, October 29th at 10 a.m., where our participants will meet with regional workforce partners to learn about local talent pipelines and help source current talent needs. So learn more by visiting GLI's events tab on our website or by connecting with any of our staff. So thanks again for joining, everyone.